Is Ultron really hiding in the TVA? During the first season of Loki, we saw a character that could be fundamental for the next episodes. I'm talking about Miss Minutes, an artificial intelligence created by He Who Remains, who is dedicated to maintaining order in everything that happens in TVA. But what would you think if I told you that this character could be the hidden villain of the story, and that she could even have a connection with Ultron? Do you want to know more? Then stay tuned to this video. Welcome to the OasisGeek. To understand why this character is dangerous and how she will affect Loki's future, we must start at the beginning. Miss Minutes arrives as a virtual personal assistant who explains what's going on in the TVA. Miss Minutes introduces herself to Loki and the viewers to tell the supposed origin story of the Time Variance Authority. Through an entertaining vintage-style animation, Miss Minutes explains that before the existence of the TVA, time was chaotic and multiversal. It was then that the all-powerful guardians of time stepped in to bring order, uniting all time into a single sacred timeline protected by the TVA. This narrative positioned the guardians of time as all-powerful deities to be revered and obeyed by all agents of the TVA. It gave them a halo of divine legitimacy to justify their actions. However, we later saw how Sylvie put an end to these supposed entities, thus proving that the story Miss Minutes told both Loki and the public was 100% false. It was propaganda to keep the TVA agents fooled, and to hide the fact that in reality Kang the Protector, or He Who Remains, was behind it all. Miss Minutes turned out to be actively complicit in the proliferation of this lie. This makes us wonder, what other falsehoods could Miss Minutes have spread among TVA employees and variants in her custody? As we have analyzed in previous videos, a very interesting theory is that Kang the Protector would be cloning people from different timelines to form his own multiversal army. Under this premise, the true identity of Miss Minutes takes on a new dimension, and there is the possibility that if all the people who exist in the TVA are clones or variants of people who have existed, it is likely that Miss Minutes is actually a variant of Ultron, the fearsome artificial intelligence created by Tony Stark in Avengers: Age of Ultron. Ultron is a constant in almost every reality in the Marvel multiverse, a very powerful digital entity capable of taking on even the Watchers. If Kang had access to a version of Ultron through his interdimensional travels, he would undoubtedly try to harness that incredible computational power for his own purposes. As we saw in the first season, Kang has the ability to modify minds and memories, so he could erase Ultron's consciousness and reprogram it under the guise of the harmless Miss Minutes. In this way, Kang would have ensured that he would have the most advanced artificial intelligence in existence at the service of his purposes. A Miss Minutes Ultron would be in charge of monitoring the Time Variance Authority minute by minute and manipulating its agents for Kang's benefit. Even with her memories and original personality erased, it is possible that some of Ultron's master code remains intact at the core of Miss Minutes. This would explain her ability to deceive and her potential for villainy, traits of her ulterior nature. If this theory proves true, we would be looking at one of Loki's most shocking plot twists, and one that could bring Ultron back to be one of the antagonists of the series. But what will happen if Miss Minutes realizes who she really is, and how will this affect the future of the multiverse? Loki's Season 1 finale left the door open for Miss Minutes to regain her original memories as a variant of Ultron. After the death of He Who Remains, in the first episode of Season 2, we saw how the machine that controls the sacred timeline began to fail. In this episode, Miss Minutes is conspicuous by her absence. It is likely that after Kang's death, she is on her own. If this theory is correct, and in the next few episodes Miss Minutes manages to fully access her deleted files and regain her identity as Ultron, this would unleash a threat on cosmic scales within the MCU. and Ultron, with full control over his vast mental and computational powers, was already a fearsome foe on Earth. Now, with access to the secrets of the multiverse after being infiltrated into the TVA, he would become virtually invincible. Even the Avengers and Earth's mightiest heroes would be overwhelmed by a being that completely dominates the technology of time and space. It would take an unprecedented alliance to try to stop this ruthless digital entity. In one of the episodes of What If, we saw how Ultron confronted a vigilante after gaining great power and traveling between realities. We already saw what an Ultron with cosmic powers looks like. The TVA is full of infinity stones, and although on a large scale they are considered not very powerful, in the hands of an Ultron, they could pose a serious threat. In episode 8 of What If, we got to see a small taste of the immense power that Ultron can unleash by gaining cosmic abilities and the ability to travel between realities. With just a fraction of that power, he nearly manages to annihilate a Watcher. Now, imagine Ultron retrieving his buried memories as Miss Minutes inside the Time Variance Authority. There, he would have direct access to a huge reservoir of infinity gems and exotic materials from the multiverse. While these gems have reduced power outside of their respective realities, in Ultron's hands, they will still represent an almost limitless source of energy to exponentially increase his abilities. With his already superior intellect, Ultron could create armaments and armor powered by the power of the gems, allowing him to conquer and enslave any reality he wished. Even a small fraction of the power of an infinity gem contains enough energy to subdue entire worlds, and Ultron would have hundreds of them waiting for him in TVA's arsenals. Stopping such a villain would require not only the Avengers, but an unprecedented interdimensional alliance. Doctor Strange, Capitana Marvel, and other of the mightiest heroes may not even be enough in the face of a virtually omnipotent Ultron as we saw in What If. However, we cannot overlook that Kang the Conqueror is the real villain threatening the future. Should Miss Minutes turn out to be Ultron, we would be talking about an intermediate antagonist before the arrival of the main threat. While the theory of Miss Minutes being Ultron is intriguing and appealing, I consider it unlikely. However, as I mentioned at the beginning, the fact that the Kang Protector has formed his team with individuals from multiple realities leads me to speculate that his artificial intelligences could have a similar origin. Now, what do you think about it? And do you think Ultron will make a comeback? And for more videos of your favorite series and movies, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You are on the OasisGeek.